We are live now. Over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody joining us from across the globe. This is your host, Kavitha Kanaparthi, founder and CEO of Soulverse, inviting Aditya Mani, founder of Yologram. I'm sorry, it sounds so similar. Yes, we'll come to that, Aditya, very soon as to what the similarities are. We are today is the season two, episode two of Soul Show, and we are happy to have Aditya join us today and talk about extremely, I would say, mind bending, maybe not, but very inviting information because everybody's looking at AI, AR, and what is blockchain. To some, it's a very new topic, but we would like to explore the intersection of blockchain, AR, and AI in shaping ownership, retail experiences, and interoperability across the metaverse in digital commerce. This is something digital commerce is absolutely one particular interest for everyone. When internet took off, we first looked at online stores, everything, and today we are so used to ordering everything online. We do not know where our data goes. We do not know exactly how our experience is shaped by everything that goes on behind the scenes. So we want to bring that to the forefront in the Web3 area, where everything is expected to be in your ownership. Data should be in your ownership. We are looking at self sovereignty. We are looking at how our data moves across the multiverses. And one of the, I would say, brilliant and exceptional minds, Aditya Mani, is here with us today, and I would like to pick his brain. Before that, let me introduce his, I would say, accomplishments with you. He's built Yologram, which is the short form for Your Hologram, an innovative platform that is transforming the landscape of digital fashion and augmented reality, which in short we call AR. He's a prominent voice in augmented reality on LinkedIn and pioneered new ways of integrating digital fashion with immersive storytelling, which is something we want him to do today. I'll hand over the mic to you, Aditya. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Yologram before we dive deep into the realities of AR, AI, and the intersection of blockchain.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kavitha. I'm not really sure if I'm one of the premier minds in the space, but I do have a keen interest, and that keeps me going every day. It keeps me hungry for information. So I always say being an outsider is always an advantage. It keeps you always on your toes. So I've been a healthcare entrepreneur my whole life. So last 20 plus years, I've been a healthcare entrepreneur. I was running 2 or 3 startups in the healthcare field, did one of the leading blood bank software companies in Asia and India. And then after, what one would call a relatively successful exit, I was at a point where I was not sure what I wanted to do. And I came across seeing a celebrity in my home for the first time through augmented reality. Really, even though, augmented reality is a household name today, back in 2019, it really blew my mind. And, when I saw that experience, that who is this person? Why is he in my home? And how can I see him through this phone? I realized that this probably may become a way in which content could be consumed, at least bite-sized content. And that's where I decided to, completely jump in with the freshness of a complete fresher or a complete novice into the space. And we began playing around with this whole concept of augmented reality, digital humans, from there on digital fashion, and then from there on, this whole retail and branded experiences. So that's basically where Yologram was born. And having run multiple businesses in the past, I mean, I had the choice of taking a break or becoming an advisor, becoming a VC. I chose to jump back into the field of running a company because the entire space is so exciting. It's so new, so many moving parts. All of it is happening at the same time. So I just felt the excitement of that. is
Mhm.
far more exciting than just taking up just being an advisor or becoming a VC somewhere. So I just decided to jump in head first into this.
I think you made a good choice because you have a great product on your hands. Um, Tell me a little bit exactly about how how somebody can actually try on these brand apparel or anything like that. How it actually works before we dive deep into what it means to us eventually, and how we can safeguard ourselves, and how we can actually make the best use of the technology out there. Um, let's start with how Yologram enables the experience.
Yeah, so basically it starts off with the try-on tech. That's the
Hmm.
starting point. So, the idea is not to end right there. Most
Hmm.
people focus so much on the try-on, they focus so much on the entire try-on experience. They give you like 5 different sliders to move, 4 different knobs. We said no, that's the starting point for us. So we said that try to make the friction for try-on as minimal as possible. So the idea is you
Hmm.
upload a photograph and you can create an avatar of yourself. You can try on fashion, but we feel that that's the starting point. Create content with it. So from there on, you get a content creation tool which lets your digital human walk around in virtual environments, create content. You can speak into it. It's completely lip sync ready right from the time you upload a photograph. So you can start to create content with it, post it to social media. We're building all those tools and adapters to make sure that the entire content creation experience is end to end. And then the brand gets free visibility because when Aditya is sharing content that is either being shared on a news feed or is being sent to Kavitha, then the brand like Nike or Hugo Boss or whichever brand it is, Levi's, they get free visibility because obviously the digital human is wearing some clothing, and we've built the tech in such a way that you can just click on the person, click on the clothing, and just either go in all the way into e-commerce or you can buy it for your digital human as well. And that's where we said that it should be such a seamless experience that people should really have fun creating content, and
Hmm.
that's where the focus should be. And then the try on just happens to be what you enable to make it happen. So that's how we decided to look at this space. And then naturally, because we're talking about fun content, we're talking about a lot of engaging content, we're targeting a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha who are kind of native to this kind of tech, who are okay with uploading their photograph, who are not scared of using 3D tech. They kind of played with Roblox as kids. So that's
Yes.
basically where that's the thesis, how we're building this whole experience. And then of course we've also got inbuilt virtual stores into our app. So you have this concept of storefronts. So every brand has a storefront. You see the 3D content on the storefront, and when you click on it, content which is the digital catalog appears in different places, and you can have a better experience. So today most e-commerce is just like back in the old times when we had catalog buying, where you could just buy off an SKU from a catalog
Yeah.
and you'd dial a 1-800 number. Now you just press buy on
Yeah.
Amazon, just that. But now we're trying to make it more personalized. Hey, you can see it on yourself, you can see it on a family member, you can see it on a branded avatar. So, if you're a fan of Virat Kohli, or if you're a fan of Ranveer Singh, and that brand happens to carry that brand ambassador, you can see what the clothing looks like. If it's athletic wear, you can see it doing a cricket swing or a golf swing, and you can see, where does the arm stretch and things like that. So those are the kind of small experiences that we feel will make a difference to consumers, and we're
Hmm.
trying to make it speak both the consumer side as well as the things that are meaningful to the brand. And then of course we need it to be tied into Web3, because a lot
Hmm.
of the digital experiences that can be purchased, whether it's
Hmm.
a digital clothing for yourself or just recording an experience or whatever, uh, saving that and owning that online makes more sense when it's Web3 enabled versus it being on a server and privately controlled. So, somewhere we're looking at Web3 really from two angles. One is, of course, the whole way in which the monetization of digital experiences that can be bought can be brought into Web3. And then, of course, the way in which your identity and if you have an interoperable avatar or a portable avatar, how that can be saved to your identity on the blockchain. So these are the 2 3 ways in which we're looking at how AR and AI will combine with Web3.
Hmm. Awesome. On that topic, I want to dive a little in, onto the um, the questions arise always, right? When you say you need to upload something, the question always arises. So where are you storing this data? And how is my data? Eventually, when once I upload my picture, how is it in my control? Does it stay in my wallet? And whenever it's an app based, or whenever it's web based, however it is, you're looking at information that you're sharing with somebody. And when we're creating the content, where does the content go? Do I share it independently, or if I use AR, and will somehow the merger of AI steal my content from there and impersonate me somehow? And can I interoperate across different platforms? I'm creating content on this particular platform. Can I take this and share it somewhere else? Is there interoperability in this kind of environments? Could you shed some light on those?
Yeah, as far as interoperability is concerned, there are a lot of loopholes today as far as digital fashion is concerned. So, when I came across 3D, I really thought that, once you create a 3D jacket and you have a human, the human can actually just wear the jacket and then that's it. But that's not how it works. There's a whole pipeline that Disney and other people have made where, 3D modeling is one end of the spectrum, and then you've got animators, you've got weight painters, you've got all that. So we've kind of digitized this entire spectrum of how you can do it and automate it. But
Mm.
at the same time, what happens is that because everyone's pipeline and everyone's steps are different, there is not too much of interoperability, and that's changing with time. So there is a kind of, not really a decentralized, but there's a third party kind of independent avatar system out there called VR Chat, and VR Chat is not controlled by Roblox, it's not controlled by Fortnite, and most VR chat characters are created in Blender, and then you just create it as per a certain way that VR chat imports this avatar. So these portable avatars is what we are kind of utilizing as well, because it's adopted by the community and the VR community. So we're dealing with these interoperable characters, and these interoperable characters, to some extent, you can change the clothing on these characters as well. So that's where the interoperability really lies. And to answer that question in a very different way, a lot of the new metaverses today are allowing both import and export of these interoperable characters. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like how PDF is kind of an intermediary between, say, a
Document
PowerPoint
and
and
yeah.
some tool made by Apple or something like that. So it's like
Hmm.
it's an intermediate portable format, and we have the same thing available for avatars as well. And because the metadata of the avatars can contain fashion as well, we believe that the metadata can also contain not just the creator's information; it can also contain removable clothing that can be attached to this fashion, can be attached to this avatar as well. So that's how the whole interoperability spectrum works. It's still something evolving. It's something. It's not that digital fashion works instantaneously today. Even between two competing systems, coming up with an interoperable format like GLTF, even there's a lot that needs to be done for the product to be seamless, to move from one metaverse to another, one 3D engine to another. As far as AI is concerned, we really don't know what the extent to which AI can actually go and search through, and it's not that we've given access to AI, but we really don't know what AI can do today, because it's kind of
Hmm.
becoming more and more autonomous as we speak. So I won't be able to comment on that. We use a lot of AI in generating the body. So based on
Hmm.
the photograph of the face, it does certain estimations of the neck, and then based on the difference between the neck and the head, it estimates how fat the person could be, and probably gives you a estimate of, this is how fat your avatar will be. And you can always move that slider and adjust the fatness depending on where you'd like to see it.
Hmm.
And we're also doing some AI to do some kind of estimates in terms of which clothing sizes will work for you. So that's the extent in which we're working with AI. We're doing AI for storytelling, where as well, that if a consumer were to just say, hey, take me to a fantasy environment where, I see blue light coming out, and we're able to integrate into things like that. So
Right.
these are the different places in which we're seeing AI. And we're also seeing AI as a friend, where we could have a salesperson, or we could have a stylist as an AI service, where the person just says, hey, can you suggest something for a Goa trip? And it just comes up with it knows what Goa is, it knows what the weather in Goa is right now, and it comes up with certain suggestions based on, color, and, it's tropical and whatever. So these are the places where we're employing AI, and these are the
Hmm.
places where we hope that, we can use AI responsibly. In terms of AR, I feel AR is a very interesting space, because AR is becoming more and more pervasive. So it's moving from just being tech on the phone to being tech on the MetaQuest 3, being on the Vision Pro, which means they're becoming more lifestyle devices and home devices today. So
Yeah.
that makes the whole world of AR also very exciting.
We are also looking at, when we're talking about the commerce portion of this whole, so we have in all of these tools, are they may look independently exciting, but when they all come together, they create a completely different world, which in some ways we're calling the metaverses, the multiverses, the web verses. Meta again is a brand. Um, so when we look at the commerce proportion of it, and then the integration of blockchain into it, um, the experience within this realm is conducted by the VR, the AR, and the AI. To some extent, it interacts with you and does all of those things. When you integrate blockchain, though, you have all these different, because AR and VR are not built for a particular blockchain. They are technology of their own. But when you have all these blockchains that you want to integrate, especially when you want to do commerce, there's going to be some cryptocurrency involved, to and move across different platforms and all of that. And then there is blockchain, and then there is safety, there is data, there is security, there's your avatar, and then there is your cryptocurrency that is floating around in these metaverses, while trying to buy something that you tried on just now from, let's say, a fancy throughout, maybe Gucci or Givenchy or whatever it is, right? All of these. So you encounter the problem of how do you now pay for something that you have experienced, or you have created content. For you to export that content, you end up requiring commerce is going to come in eventually. No, initially we may introduce some of these things for free, but commerce is going to come into, eventually be part of this whole thing. I created some content, I want to export it. I want to, I create a video, maybe I want to export it to share on different platform because I'm unable to share directly from this tool. So how does that, kind of, let's say, suffocate or kind of compress this whole innovation that is happening in the AR, VR, AI field that is part of the, and then, the block, we have so many different blockchains. How does that, I would say, account into the way we are going to be able to expand, unless something, and we're able to plug in with interoperability on the chains, with cryptocurrency, with different currencies that you can operate on, move between, let's say, this store to that store to that store with the same currency or different currencies, that they, one store, accepts one currency, the other store in your, using your Yologram, is, probably accepts different currency. What are the challenges that we're looking at today, or what are the solutions? We are trying to talk to developers today, right? Let's say developers are listening in. What would you say the challenges that they need to solve? What would you say, pick up this part of the problem that is there and solve this or solve that? Or somebody who is a novice, completely to any of these, what would you say is something that is going to be exciting when all of this merger happens?
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question, and that's something which I've thought about a lot. So basically, what one has to realize is, where does the value of the blockchain lie? So the value of the blockchain really lies in being an abstracted layer outside of these private experiences. So if you were to look at any experience today, if you were to look at spatial, or you were to look at VR chat, or you were to look at any Decentraland or any, so okay, fine, Decentraland is on a decentralized network, but if you were to look at any of these private spaces like Roblox or Fortnite, these environments tend to control everything. They control identity, they control
Hmm.
authentication, they control embodiment, they control assets. So they are truly the masters. So the when
Right.
when we speak about Web3, it's not really so much about blockchain, or when it's not so much really about um, decentralization. It's more about shifting the power. And
Right.
how can you shift the power from a centralized corporation to
Environment.
some amount
Yeah.
of power which a consumer can own? And
Hmm.
that happens to be enabled through decentralization or decentralized storage and all of that. So
Hmm.
what is important to note here is, when you're designing, if you're a developer, you have to realize, think of it from a consumer's perspective. You've gone into Fortnite, you've bought a piece of skin or a piece of clothing there. Ideally, if there could be an adapter that could be written where you could save this particular garment or skin or asset into your wallet, or if you're able to save it into your space, then even if there is a lack of interoperability of the 3D content to move in another space, you can still own that asset with you on your wallet. So
Hmm.
that's the step number one, that the not only the creators but the creative technologists who are working with these. Uh, yeah, do you want a moment, Kavita? I'll just wait
Yes,
if
I
you're.
just have something in my throat. 1 second.
Yeah, you want to get a glass of water? Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, no worries at all. Yeah. So I was saying that, if you're a creative technologist and you've taken it upon yourself, either as a developer or as a startup, to solve a problem, each one of these, like I spoke about, I said authentication, embodiment, identity, assets. Each one of these can technically be saved to a third party. And then from there on, it can be viewed on a wallet. And then from
Hmm.
there on, any kind of game or any kind of experience that can connect to this wallet can. The first step is, you can just have this product show up. So you may
Right.
just have an avatar and it may be just fixed like that. That's fine. That's step number one. You can go
Hmm.
back to the metaverse and say, hey, I've got my avatar. It contains all the bone information, it contains the full rig, but I need to make it interactable. So you've solved point number one by getting an avatar out of one place and getting it into another place. Then, of course, you need to work with that. If it's a portable avatar, then you can tell them, hey, this is a portable avatar. Does your metaverse support portable avatars? Then, of course, it becomes an interactable. It becomes an object which is recognized by that system. But in
Hmm.
order for this flow of information or flow of this 3D object to go out from one to another, you really need to be able to save it to a wallet. You really need to be able to save it to a blockchain. And you know the way these metaverses are designed, they don't stand to gain from exporting it out. They
Right.
they they stand to gain from locking you in. So
Hmm.
you need to educate them that, hey, you can reach out to a much bigger audience if you have interoperability, or we are doing this as a service, and we would like to connect with you as well, because we're connected into so many more people. There is a
Hmm.
possibility that more people can come in with their assets into
Right.
your game or metaverse or whatever it is. So that's basically what the kind of advice I'd give, prospective startups and enthusiasts and developers, to try and solve these use cases, but just on these essentials. And once you're able to save it to a decentralized storage, once you're able to show it on the wallet, don't be disheartened. It's not going to work on day one. There is a lot that is, there's a lot which there are a lot of moving parts that happen, which move between one metaverse and another. So one of course lies the fact that one could be a voxelated system, one could be a 3D mesh system. Even within 3D meshes, one could have an armature, which is a skeleton. One may have, like Roblox, for example, has an inner cage and an outer cage. Sorry, getting a little technical here, but what I'm trying to get to is
No,
the
no, that's
fact.
exactly what we want.
Yeah,
Go
the
ahead.
fact that you're going to have these moving parts and they're not going to speak to each other one on one, somebody has to solve this problem. Roblox is not going to do it, Fortnite's not going to do it. A third party standing in the middle, who says that I can give you the same power that, say, PlayStation can do, like PlayStation Central, lets you take your assets and your swords and your your guns from one game to another, because they're all PlayStation games and you've bought it in one, and they want you to be locked in within the PlayStation network. So for them, even though it's not decentralized, it lets you save things into an abstracted layer which is outside of the game. Similar to that, you need to be able to think of saving on a blockchain which is outside the game, and the connection between the game and that data layer is the wallet, and that is controlled by the user. So the user has full control over that. So that's the way in which one needs to think about this. So that's the only way it's going to make sense. So like, if you're inside a metaverse and you're creating content and you want to take that content out, then the way to do it is, write an adapter where it can be stored to a wallet, and then you have it on the blockchain, and then you control that content. So, but somebody has to write that, and it's very unlikely that that metaverse is going to write it. You're going to have to connect with the product team, take this up as a use case. Some of them will not even let you do it, so you'll have to figure out
Yeah.
ways in which it can be done.
This may actually work if, I'll probably bring in Sologram at this time. Um, though we sound similar, we serve very different purposes, right? Sologram is that data, carrier, so to speak, as an avatar that can move from metaverse to metaverse, and even for you, the hologram as well. Where do you store this data when somebody, let's say, tried on something, and they how we have this, save for later, my favorite or something like that, a different website that you can store. How do you store those things? How you can store it into a wallet, and then you come back when you connect your wallet. If you want to buy that particular, it's a combination of a pant or a shirt or a dress or whatever it is, you could eventually, have that ready for you, and you're, good to go. When you're, you feel like your purse strings allow you to buy it, you're ready to buy it. And moving from metaverse to metaverse, you need certain assets, you need certain data to enter a certain metaverse. Let's say, you're entering a metaverse that serves only adults. Let's say, you need to show that, especially a bar or something like that, you need to show you're over 18 and you have certain assets to, to pay for your whatever it is, your purchases or something like that. And or if you're entering high end, some in a store, they might want to check in on, do you have the assets or a game. You're over 18 to play this game, or over 12 to play this game, or whatever it is, right? So you have multiple things that you need to carry around with you. So you can create an avatar with your data and then move around all these places. And there are so many different APIs, so many different, protocols being built out there, that you almost readily can plug in many of these and make it interoperable, make them, you can change your assets on the fly. Those are those some of these aggregators, so to speak, or, the layer providers provide all these things on the fly. With all of that, with all that we have, being built independently and all of that, how do you see this entire experience in AR shaping up as we go in the next few years? Not just in terms of fashion, though you are, fashion based, your product is particularly fashion based. How do you see this entire experience changing, whether it is education, whether it is, you're purchasing an asset, let's say real estate or whatever it is, you're based somewhere else, and you're unable to go to a different city and view the particular property and understand how it looks from this particular room or that particular room or whatever it is. How is that going to change with all these technologies being built, you know um, in the near future, in the far future? What else do you see exciting happening in this space?
Yeah, what is very tough to keep up with is the power of AI, and
Hmm.
AI kind of makes you look stupid very soon. So a lot of our 3D experiences that we worked hard on and we made it dynamic, AI kind of emulates not really 3D, but it could be frame by frame video, which kind of looks somewhat like 3D, and then says, "Hey, big deal, you worked 2 months to create this. It took a user 5 minutes to create this." So that's we are wanting to embrace AI. So we are trying to think about ways in which we can employ AI. So right from lip syncing to emotion tracking of people's voices, and then tie. We're trying to build a whole emotional experience. So based on emotion, music, based on emotion, um, animation, all of that kind of. That's how we're trying to think of how AI can be packed in. Um, Again, experiences. A lot of experiences can be triggered. Backgrounds, all of that can be triggered on AI very well. Um, I think it's almost impossible to dream 5 years in advance, but I think 2 years from now, I think we're going to have a much more excited consumer base who's, I think people are just waiting right now. People are not sure what to do, and people
Mm-hmm.
haven't placed their bets. So you're going to have people very firmly believing and using metaverses to connect. People are going to be relying more on their avatars. They will have avatars saved. So that's how I really see the next 2 years. I mean, having seen how the space has evolved in the last 2 3 years, I feel that the time is now where people, at least the way in which the big companies are betting big on VR, we believe that the inflection point is somewhere now where people are going to start to take major calls on having their identity saved, having their personas saved online, and creating experiences and creating content from there on from here. So I feel that's really where things are going to evolve in the next 2 years, and a lot of that is going to be AR empowered, AI empowered, and of course, the more you can take away out of it, the
Mm-hmm.
more empowered you are if it's Web3 enabled, because then you truly own what you take away from it.
Who thought, we would be buying clothes online, right? I mean, nobody, everybody wanted to go see the color, feel the texture, and all of that. We didn't imagine being able to, buy all these things online. So tomorrow you're going to be, experiencing, doing all of these things through AR, VR experiences in metaverses. Pretty much, you literally are not even going to be physically seeing, or you're going to be seeing virtual reality kind of a thing, an experience with brands and all of that. You can look at yourself, probably dance around and see how it feels, how the dancing shoe feels, and all of that. I mean, we're advancing, in terms of where we had the online experience. We're advancing to kind of a mixture of physical experience to merging the physical experience that we had decades, just about decade ago, not even not even like far ago, just a decade ago, to what we are experiencing today. We are merging those things. Would you think the consumer is ready? We have, and as you know that Apple just pulled one of their VR sets, right? The high end VR one, and they're still working on the lower end one. That is mainly because the market is not ready to spend $3,500 on a VR set and derive the value from it. Where do you see the merger, or maybe the intersection of the value that is derived from from all these experiences to the money that we are going to spend out, and the research, especially with companies doing so much research, and probably the consumer spending less on these at this time, not seeing the value of it. How can we bring an intersection, or is there something else that we are waiting to drop in the middle? Is there something else that we require to bridge these?
Yeah, so I think we're also at a very exciting moment because Google is going to announce their XR. So Google's coming out with Android XR, and Android XR is basically going to mean that it's not just Samsung; it is Samsung plus plus plus. So you're going to have the Xiaomi's of the world. You're going to have everyone competing because it's not just Google; it's Google plus Qualcomm, which
Mm-hmm.
means that you're going to have the hardware software combination that Apple gives you. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be an OS designed for these Qualcomm chips, which are optimally tested with on device ML, which means
Mm-hmm.
that you can wear these kind of glasses, or you can wear these kind of headsets, and you can have on device without having to go to the cloud and do all that. You can have real
Mm-hmm.
time ML coming at you. So even if you saw Apple's latest the new event they had, they spoke about a lot of AI, which is personal, which is where a lot of the ML is being done on device. And
Mm-hmm.
people really want that from a privacy angle, and people really don't want things going up to the cloud. So that's going to be a game changer because the price point is going to go sub $200. So you're going to have every kind of experience. You're going to have the big clunky MetaQuest 2, MetaQuest 3 kind of headsets come below 200, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have the very novel X-Real and these kind of glasses which have a smaller field of view, but
Mm-hmm.
they're just waiting to get onto this roller coaster of having backed by Google technology. So you're going to have a lot of these, Shenzhen-based, manufacturing guys who are just going to open up and say, okay, fine, we are Google compliant, like what happened with the Android phones. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have these glasses come up at $200, $300. So I feel that's really where the enthusiast space is. That's not where the consumer is. Consumer is still going to be mobile. And as far as the mobile is concerned, if you build your experiences, if they're switch on, switch off. So think about a magnifying lens. You
Mm-hmm.
carry a magnifying lens with you, you use it when you want, and you take it off. You don't carry it in your hand your whole time. So
Right.
if you use that phone as a magnifying lens and just say, okay, fine, can I see what a t-shirt looks like from my back? How difficult is that? I need two mirrors, and then I need to look to a third mirror and try and figure out where it is. Or I need to ask someone to video record me from the back and I see it. But if you have an avatar of yourself, you can just pivot that avatar and see how that t-shirt fits from the back, how it looks from the back. So these
Right.
are the small kind of use cases where it has to be designed for mobile interfaces. It has to be designed for phones first, and it has to be short experiences. You need to really derive inspiration from things like TikTok, 6 to 7 seconds. You can't be making content which is 1 minute, 3 minutes. That long form YouTube kind of content is not going to work. 7 second, 10 second content
Mm-hmm.
in AR in 3D is where you want to be making content, so that there's less friction in the creation of it, and there's less friction in publishing it. Because if it's very difficult to get a clean piece of content for 30 seconds. It's very easy to get 5 second clip out of clean content. So we are betting on that. We are betting that a lot of the content will be generated from mobile phones, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these experiences will be generated from mobile phones, and people will begin to trust these more once this is being shared for fun and stuff like that. So I would like to think that with Gen Z and Gen Alpha becoming the main consumers of tomorrow, both from an engagement angle and from ARPU, which is the revenue per user model, I
Mm-hmm.
feel that they will really drive they will really drive this kind of content from happening, because they're not scared. They kind of always dive in head
Yeah.
first into all kind of experiences. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if you see the amount of TikTok users, and the content is not YouTube anymore. The content is more on TikTok, on Reels, and they are sharing, 2-minute videos and how do it yourself and how to do this and guidance and all of that. You're not actually looking at YouTube as much for cooking videos. You're looking at instant reels these days, right? The content is shorter because people are also realizing that your attention span is smaller, and derive value from that is a lot more when you have a 20-second, 30-second instruction than 20-minute instruction, which is
Absolutely.
where we have concised and all of that. While we're thinking about all of these things, there is so much more value in see people when you look at AR, VR and AI. I keep repeating those. We use those words so many times during our conversation in just the last 40 minutes, right? And it becomes very, people are wondering what the hell is it. It becomes a little daunting for somebody to kind of understand what it is. Can we simplify it into very simple, in words in such a way? Let me ask you one question. Maybe that would allow us to kind of simplify these things. When we actually made purchases on a platform, today let's just go to um, you know um, a retail store online, and I made a purchase, and I purchasing these things in a different currency than my home currency, right? Let's say I'm purchasing in dollars. I live in UK, or so my home currency is pounds. When I use my credit card or debit card, I end up being charged a fee, a conversion fee, a transaction fee, and all of those things that the banks charge me, right? In these experiences that we're talking about. To simplify, to say, in the virtual worlds, in a very simple terms, how does blockchain improve this experience and save us some hard-earned money? And how simplified on how easy this experience can be in a very streamlined fashion without having to worry about conversion from dollars to pounds or rupees or yens or whatever it is, and not having to be charged per transaction, all these conversion fee and all of that. How is the virtual world going to change that based on blockchain?
So I think that the brand needs to invest in these experiences, and the brand shouldn't really charge the consumer of these experiences, but what the consumer what wishes to take away from this. So, if I were to go to a Gucci store and I invite my friend Ram or whatever his name is into the Gucci store and we take a selfie together and there's Gucci in the background. So now I have an asset I need to take away because we had an interaction, we were testing clothes together and we were trying it out and we were taking photographs of each other. It's like when you go to the Disney ride, you get charged for that little, when your hands are up on the ride, and
Yeah, for
that's
the
what you
picture.
charge for. So that experience is what you can take away, and blockchain can enable that. And blockchain
Hmm.
can really enable that, not just because it is you can use a form of payment which is unlocked from that experience, but also because you can save it in a space which is not controlled by that experience. What I mean to say is that even if they were to save it on their server and send you an email, they still control that server and they still control that content. Whereas if you could, own it and take it away and it was stored in a decentralized storage, then they don't own it. It's yours. You've just
Yes,
taken a
yes,
slice of that. So that's really where blockchain can enable you to own experiences that you can take away. So it could be these, or it could be a complete, you go and you're looking at a virtual IKEA showroom and you want a virtual couch because you're designing a 3D space for yourself and you want branded content to be. You don't want to just put a 3D couch by from Sketchfab. You don't want to just pick up a 3D couch from Sketchfab. You want to have that IKEA monogram all over it, and you want to make sure that after the Meta Birkins lawsuit, you don't want to be, just using someone's logo without their permission. So you would
right.
rather have a authentic branded IKEA couch. So you could take that away. So either it could be a personalized experience like a photograph, or it could be a photograph of your avatar that you're taking away, or it could be a 3D experience where there it could be a treasure hunt where they actually have things you can take away in their store, or it could be just things that they're selling you virtual versions of, digital twins of, that you can take away. And blockchain makes this not just seamless from a payments angle, it also lets you own it and keep it because it kind of unlocks that ownership and makes it truly
Yes,
yours.
yes.
I don't know if I answered the
It's
question correctly.
no, it's
Yeah, these are the
actually no.
ways in which.
This is what I'm looking for. In a very simplified manner. Today, when somebody's, I mean, let's say somebody's listening to this conversation that we're having today, in their minds, we're talking about, oh, yes, I mean, like I said, when we are talking about AR, VR, AI, AR, VR, AI, and I would like for them to hear how in everyday experience their life changes, and these technologies are not just being built in terms of who wants to carry the VR headset with a talkie, and like you said, you just need to use it when you need to use it, you don't want to be carrying it around, but you don't know when you want to use it because you may want to have an experience when you're traveling, when you're doing this and you're doing that. So that is simplified by the simplified glasses that we talked about. But what exactly is that intelligence that we're talking about? What exactly is the consumer going to experience? We haven't talked about that. That is what I wanted you to talk about in terms of how everyday life can change. And like we talked about the transaction fee, if you carry crypto assets across these multiple platforms, no matter which store you buy from, or in case even if you need to pay for something in the AR space and the multiverses and all of that, the only fee you pay is the gas fee, and you can choose to pay which blockchain that you want to interact on. And all these experiences is what we want the public to know. And as much as we want to throw around fancy words, it is important for us to help a consumer, help a listener understand what this is going to do for them in a daily life, what it's going to mean for them as this is being developed, and actually want to come back and know more about it, right? Unless we actually make this in a simplified manner, it's not going to make any sense to them, and they're going to listen to us maybe today and throw it in the back of their heads and be gone, and tomorrow we have done something, we want them to use it, and they're nowhere to be found. So we want to develop this community and make them understand exactly what we want them to carry forward in their minds and be curious and be wanting to act to Aditya Mani or Kavitha or anybody, whoever is here talking about these technologies at the end of the day. And the purpose of even as hosting these shows is that, right? And so I wanted to throw that question out there and see what bounces back at me, and that is a learning for me as well, right? And if anybody in the audience today wants to know how your life is going to change, or have an idea that you want us to kind of develop or want us to answer today, please ask us in the questions today in the chat, and we're happy to answer. Aditya, I think we have had a wonderful conversation, and we have 15 minutes. And if you want to talk to the community in your own words as to what you want to see them develop, that can make Yologram a resounding success in terms of how it can be used. Is it an open source product, that code that people can develop on? What is, or what are you doing for the community to come and utilize this particular code that they can build on, how they can build on? What is the future of Yologram? Let's take 5 minutes to talk about that, and then I have a rapid fire questions for you after that.
Yeah, I just before that 5 minutes, I just thought I'll do a little bit of community education, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please. Yes, let's
Yeah,
do
so
that.
a lot of people, like, when I give talks, when I give physical talks and I take a show of hands, I am actually surprised by the number of people who've actually used VR headsets. So you would typically think it's 1%, 2% of the population. You think if you're talking to a group of 100, you'd at least see 5 hands. So either people are hesitant, or often I just see a stadium, not a stadium, but a auditorium full with just one hand or two hands go up, and people are kind of daunted by, they're scared of this whole concept of VR. So VR is not that complex.
Mm-hmm.
All VR does is that, when you're looking at a game, the
Mm-hmm.
camera view, the game is made like a complete 3D scene. So
Right.
it's like a 3D scene where you can see the characters and you can see the environment, everything. But the camera view is either where the player is going, where you see the play, the virtual camera follows the player. So as you
Mm-hmm.
move the player with your cursor, the player goes to a certain area and the camera moves with that. The only thing different in VR is the camera is not locked. The camera is what you see. So if the player
Mm-hmm.
is in front of you and you move your head here, you need to move your head there, you can see the rest of the game. That's
Mm-hmm.
all VR is. So people
Mm-hmm.
think that VR is this magical thing. It's nothing. It's just about unlocking that camera from the
Right.
view of not just looking at it from the game creator, but it's an
Mm-hmm.
unlocked view where you can see anywhere. So when you see a 360 experience, it doesn't, like when you see 360 video content, for example, say you're going down a ski slope.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, the camera view is what the skier sees, so you just keep seeing his own skis. But when you see 360 content, you could be looking up the mountain, you could be looking at that little ski lift over here. It's
Mm-hmm.
totally up to you where you can see. So that's basically what
Mm-hmm.
VR is. So, if you see a VR headset somewhere, if you see it in a store or see it in a friend's place, don't feel scared. Just put it on. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's one of the most simple technologies out there. It's just a gyroscope which can figure out head movement, and it's
Right.
content which responds to head movement because it's 360 unlock content. So I just wanted to throw that in. From Yologram's perspective, we are building content creation packages which are going to be open source. So we are going to have these portable avatars which can be used for Zoom calls and things like that. So that will be open source. We will also have these portable avatars available which can be imported into games. So those experiences will be available as open source both in Unreal and Unity, but that's still some time away. We're still building for the brands right now, and once we
Mm-hmm.
build for the brands and we have these kind of curated experiences, then when we export these avatars, which are portable avatars, we'll have these open source GitHub repos available where people can pick up these interoperable avatars, and use it for Zoom calls, or use it for making small games, small experiences and metaverses. And I think that'll unlock a lot of experience, because you can have the character look like you and dressed up in brands like you, and that's where we believe that perhaps there's some value in that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something I'm excited about, which should happen in the next year or two. And
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the community, I'm always happy to hear any kind of comment, or any kind of direction that they are thinking of, which always sometimes gives us, because we are very consumer driven. Our mission is very consumer driven. So if there is something that comes out from the community, we're always happy to hear that.
Fantastic. I think, for I would say most of the gamers and multiverse builders, um, it's if you're building something that has virtual reality, or requires an avatar, Aditya is a person to reach out to, and you could have him as an advisor, guide you through your entire process. It can be daunting in the beginning, understanding all these different. And Aditya explained VR very, very beautifully. Can I throw at you to explain AR in just as simple terms, so that we actually capture these, um, I would say, the answers, and replay them for our audience at some point?
Sure, sure. AR is very simple. AR is just overlaying your camera feed. So think about the camera feed on your phone with digital content. So either it could be 2D AR, which could be
Hmm.
as simple as a greeting on top of a, say, you had those old time filters which said happy birthday. So you'd take a photograph of yourself, or you'd have like something show up on your face, like a some kind of graphics. So that's a lot of that is 2D AR. And then sometimes
Hmm.
you have 3D AR, which actually maps your face, and then wherever you move your face, like you have those virtual earrings or something, it
Hmm.
moves. It's even got gravity, and it's even got physics to it. So this is basically the concept of 2D AR and 3D AR. And then there's this other, there are rare camera experiences. These are front camera experiences, where you're unlocking your front camera, and things are tracking your face, and you're able to overlay content over your face, over your background, or whatever. And then there's back camera experiences, where you can put on the camera, see within your room, and you can even launch like an experience. It could be a small game, or it could be a small character, or it could be a try on. So you're looking at a shoe, you can actually see that shoe in your space, go close
Hmm.
to it, and think of it like a magnifying glass. You're looking
Right.
through that, and as you go through that,
Hmm.
that item is locked in physical space. But as your phone moves closer to it, there's that virtual item is moving closer and closer to your phone, so you can go see great detail of that item, which you probably can't even do with physically. So I have seen great texture level detail of garment, which I can't see physically with the naked eye, by just going close
Right.
to garments worn on an avatar. But
Hmm.
because that texture information is present, I can actually go and see that detail of texture. And we can even do tricks like you can virtually simulate your hands, and you can make that garment respond to how your hands move. So that kind of gives you the experience of what you do when you go to a store.
Hmm.
When you see the cloth draped on a mannequin, or you see it draped on yourself, it's got a fitting experience to it, but you still want to see how that texture feels, how it
Right.
flows. And you can do a lot of that. You can emulate a lot of that with cloth physics, where you can see that a satin will move very differently from a woven fabric, like a jersey. Or
Right.
you'd see a different kind of fabric move more softer or stiffer, depending on the cloth physics. So all
Hmm.
this kind of magic can be done both with AR and VR, and
Hmm.
you can get a lot of texture level detail by going close to the object.
Fantastic. I mean, we do have a bunch of rapid fire questions.
Yes.
Um, and thank you so much for simplifying the definitions, the words, and the technology, and exactly what it means. I think these two pieces are going to be gold for the audience, and we're going to be using it for sure. Um, share a quick, if you let's get to the rapid fire. The first one is, share a quick example of AR and AI transforming retail experiences in virtual environments.
Yeah, so AR transforming is try on. So you could either have a try on happening on an avatar, or it could just be something you want to see in your space. So, think about a couch you want to see in your home. Think about the number of steps you'll save by, going and getting the couch on trial and putting it in your space. You could actually have the
Mhm.
couch show up in physical space. And with AI, there are many such things. You can either have body tracking to, see an activation of clothing on yourself, or you could have, a measurement, magic measurement just by uploading a photograph of yourself. So these are
Mhm.
like quick AR and AI kind of game changer tech I can think of at the fly of a moment.
Awesome. What's the most innovative use of Web3 you have seen in digital commerce recently?
Yeah, so I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's the shift in power. So consumers today are talking, consumers are very enabled, and they're talking about this whole cancel culture where they don't want the corporate to be all powerful. So consumers today are starting to adopt games and adopt experiences which are connected to the wallet. I think see that as a welcoming. Uh, I mean, it's very important part of the game changing experience, because unless there's adoption, it's not going to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it's just connecting the wallet for identity, that's good enough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be a game changer that's happening as we speak.
Awesome. Awesome. If you can predict one major trend in digital fashion, let's say maybe for 2025 or 26, what would it be?
So I think it's tough to take a call so quickly, 2025,
Mm-hmm.
2026. But I can tell you something, that
Mm-hmm.
brands are completely innovating and completely changing. So every brand is becoming a lifestyle brand. And how I
Mm-hmm.
define a lifestyle brand is like Apple. They are no longer a computer brand. Are they a music brand? Are they selling home pods, AirPods? What are they selling? So they're
Mm-hmm.
actually a part of your home lifestyle, whether it's fitness or whatever it is. So the same is happening with government companies as well. They want to be
Mm-hmm.
present everywhere. They want to be present in Roblox. They want to be present in Fortnite. They want to be in your attention span. And brands who are going to be more present in these multiple spaces are going to
Mm-hmm.
are just going to like zoom up in terms of importance to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So if you see a brand like H&M, for example, I
Right.
think 5 years from now H&M is probably going to have a bigger market cap than some of these big luxury brands, because they're present in so many of these multiverses today. And
Okay.
they become very meaningful to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, because it's like when we used to play Need for Speed, we used to
Yeah.
see those Porsches and we used to see those Lamborghinis, and we've kind of had a connect with those speedometers, and we've kind of had a connect with those interiors of those cars, even though we've never owned it. But then
Yeah.
when you're actually in a position to afford one, you have a sense of loyalty to those brands. The same thing
Right.
happens with brands which are going to be present in gaming and in metaverses. They are going to
Mm-hmm.
zoom up in terms of market cap, in terms of consumer awareness, and we're going to see them as mega brands. And anyone who wants to lead in terms of a D2C brand, they need to be
Mm-hmm.
present in spaces to become household and lifestyle brands in the next 3 to 5 years.
There you go, guys. Whoever is hearing and listening to this podcast today, you know what to do, you know where to be, and you know how to get the attention of Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all the other generations that are coming next after them. So if you're building something, if you're thinking about something, you should know where your market is. And Aditya just very gave us very good alpha, so to speak. And the next question and the last one is, Aditya, in your opinion, what's the biggest misconception people have about digital ownership and blockchain in the metaverse?
Okay, what is the biggest misconception they have?
Misconception of people have about digital ownership in metaverse.
Yeah, I feel that one I know from a consumer side there is a lot of fear about crypto in general. So people
Hmm.
get scared about digital wallets, and there are even yesterday I saw that there was a scam on YouTube, where there was something called Musk Crypto, where they had a deep fake of Elon Musk. He was selling crypto where he said, "Give me any amount of Bitcoin or any amount of Dogecoin, and I'll double it for you." And it was actually coming from a YouTube channel that said Tesla with the Tesla logo, and it It was someone who who hacked another YouTube account, renamed it to Tesla, and then was running that video on live for a long time. It actually looked like a Elon Musk video, but it was fake. So people have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fear about crypto in general and wallets in general because of all
Mm-hmm.
these things. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
that if you have good practices, you can stay safe. And even
Mm-hmm.
with corporates, when I speak to corporates, they're very very scared to go down the whole Web3 route because they don't know how when you talk about Web3, they say this is this an asset class? Is this going to be seen as a security by our, because when they're looking at their balance sheet, they need to know how to put, even if they've given you like $100,000, how do they put that in their balance sheet? And they're very
Yes.
scared
Yeah.
where they report to the SEC and things like that if they're especially a C corp or a B corp. So these are some of the,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, misconceptions or lack of education that we often need to do either at the C-suite or we have to do at the consumer level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a part of the trade that we need to embrace.
I said that was the last question, and we're actually over time. But I'm going to. This is so interesting, and the information you're providing is extremely, valuable to the listeners out there who are trying to understand and build. I'll ask you one last, one last one. How, in all of this, right? The function of data in different countries, the governance of data in different countries is different. And when we are in these multiverses, what do you think the limitation is going to be on the data? Because if you, let's say, we have a multiverse that functions on the blockchain, or somewhere else, or on a server somewhere. I'm sitting in one country and I'm trying to utilize the services of a different brand in a different country and something like that. How is the governance going to work? And that is a big question that the C-suite, executives keep asking us all the time, because when we're talking about self-sovereign identity, they want to know how, all this about the nodes being in different countries. Let's say, though my data is in my wallet, we try to tell them nobody owns the data, that it is not on the blockchain. The nodes don't control the data is all in the wallet, and so it is in the home country where the person is, and so those laws apply. The only thing that they're doing is transacting on the blockchain, not even transacting literally, they're just transaction is being, but they want to know what's going to happen to all these nodes that are in countries that are have no regulations and all of that. And so how do you answer that? And that kind of comes into play in the virtual reality field as well, especially with brands functioning from different countries. How do we answer that?
So it boils down to the fact why these countries create these laws. These countries create these laws for two reasons. One is to protect the interests of the citizen, B,
Mm-hmm.
not to be hostage by another country in case there is any kind of geopolitical problem tomorrow. So,
Right. Yeah.
today, if you're very dependent on US data or US data centers, what
Mm-hmm.
happens tomorrow if they were to bring that as a bargaining chip on the negotiation table? So
Yeah.
that's basically why GDPR and DPDP and all these laws are made. But it's also important to realize that when you're in an abstracted layer where it's not physically just locked into data centers, there lies the need for a data broker to come in who says that whatever data you own as a consumer, I will build a layer or a filter on it which will make sure it's compliant to DPDP, which is
Mm-hmm.
India. And
Mm-hmm.
for a brand's perspective, it could be a European brand, so it could be GDPR or whatever it is. So those lenses need to come in from both angle, and they
Mm-hmm.
both need to be built in. So that would technically be a little bit of some kind of a plugin that would be on the wallet side, or some kind of plugin that would be on the blockchain side, that the brand
Right.
can leverage and the consumer can leverage, and both can be secure from their perspective. Because, like you mentioned, it's being sprinkled and spread all over. It's not really
Right.
being consolidated in one mega node out there. It's just in
It's
ether.
all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Considering it's all over the place, and you still want control from the consumer's angle, there's an opportunity for a data broker to do things from a consumer's angle on the wallet, and there's an opportunity for someone to build something on the
Mm-hmm.
blockchain, the L1, L2, whatever, and show it to the
Yeah.
brand saying that, from GDPR perspective, you are complying to all of this. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can rest assured that we are going to take care of this compliance for you, and we can audit it for you as well. So, that's really where two different businesses get built. It could be built by the same company, but
Yes.
someone really needs to build this and think of it from a perspective where it's not data locked in a data center, but it's just spread all over, and it can still comply by the individual laws, either from the consumer angle or from the corporation angle.
Fantastic. There you go, guys. You have an opportunity here as well to build something that um, maybe Soulverse needs it too, maybe Yologram needs it too, and so many other brands require it. So, data and GDPR policies and all of these policies are very big questions for everybody building on blockchain. So you might want to think about a solution and reach out to us and reach out to anybody that you want to talk to. Thank you so much, Aditya. I know we are over time, but no, we could not ask you any of these questions and educate and reach out to our customers and clients and speakers and listeners from across the globe. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to learning more about Yologram, and we look forward to having you again as probably go to your next version of Hologram. We'll talk to you soon again. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
Have
very
a good
much.
evening.
I appreciated all the questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for listening, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.